The massive doors of the Galactic Council chamber opened with a deep hum. Inside, hundreds of alien beings sat around the circular hall. Some looked like giant insects with sharp claws. Others had thick scales and long tails. A few glowed with strange lights from their metal bodies. Today was different. Today, the humans were coming to their first big meeting. Velthar, the insect-like speaker of the council, clicked his mandibles nervously. His four eyes watched the entrance. Around him, other alien leaders whispered to each other in dozens of different languages. "I heard humans are weak," buzzed Crixtel, a robot-like being made of silver metal. "They come from a small planet far away." "Weak or not, they passed all our tests," replied Gronmak, a huge lizard creature with red scales. His voice was deep and rough. "But I still don't trust them." The whispers stopped when footsteps echoed from the hallway. Everyone turned to look. First came the other species' diplomatic teams. The Zephyrian guards wore thick armor that covered their bug-like bodies. Energy weapons glowed blue on their arms. Behind them walked the Brutani warriors, each one 7 feet tall with plasma rifles, bigger than most beings. The mechanoid guards had weapons built right into their metal bodies. Each group looked ready for war. Then the humans entered. Ambassador Taemin Kim walked in first. He was a middle-aged man with kind eyes and a calm smile. He wore a simple dark suit, not armor. Behind him came his team of diplomats, all dressed the same way, but it was the human guards that made everyone stare. Bo-Ra Park, the chief security officer, walked beside the ambassador. She was a woman in her 30s with short black hair. She wore a plain uniform with no armor. Her hands were empty. No weapons hung from her belt. No energy shields glowed around her body. Behind her came Jinwoo Lee, a younger man who looked around the room with curious eyes. Like Bo-Ra, he carried nothing that looked dangerous. He walked slowly, his hands relaxed at his sides. The alien delegates began to whisper again, louder this time. "Where are their weapons?" asked a snake-like being from the Serpentis Empire. "Maybe they hide them?" suggested another creature with too many arms. "No," said Crixtel, his metal head turning to scan the humans. "My sensors detect no hidden technology. No energy signatures, no metal weapons, nothing." Gronmak's yellow eyes narrowed. "Are they stupid, or do they think we are?" Ambassador Taemin took his seat at the human section of the Great Circle. Bo-Ra stood behind him, her posture relaxed but alert. Jinwoo moved to stand near the large windows that showed the stars outside. Both guards looked completely comfortable, as if they were at a friendly dinner instead of a meeting with hundreds of dangerous aliens. Velthar clicked his mandibles louder. The sound meant he was confused or worried. In all his years leading the council, he had never seen anything like this. "Speaker Velthar," called out Gronmak, his voice carrying across the chamber. "I request permission to address the human delegation." "Granted," Velthar replied, though his tone suggested he was not happy about it. Gronmak stood up. His massive form cast a shadow over the nearby seats. "Ambassador Kim," he said, his voice like thunder, "the Brutani Empire is confused by your security arrangements." Taemin smiled politely. "How can I help clear up this confusion, War Chief Gronmak?" "Your guards?" Gronmak pointed at Bo-Ra and Jinwoo. "They carry no weapons. They wear no armor. Every other species in this council brings proper protection for their diplomats. Do humans not value their leaders' lives?" The chamber fell silent. This was not a small question. In galactic politics, the weapons you brought showed how strong you were. It showed you could protect yourself and fight back if needed. Without weapons, you looked weak. And weak species did not last long in the galaxy. Bo-Ra's expression did not change. She continued to stand calmly, her hands still empty. Jinwoo glanced at her, then looked back out the window as if the conversation did not concern him. "We value our people very much," Taemin replied. His voice stayed calm and friendly. "Our security arrangements are simply different from yours." "Different? How?" pressed another alien, this one looking like a large crab with blue shell. "Do you have invisible weapons? Secret technology?" Crixtel's scanners hummed as he studied the humans again. "Negative," No hidden devices detected, no energy weapons, no projectile weapons, no enhancement implants. They are completely unarmed. This caused more whispers. Some aliens sounded worried. Others sounded angry. A few laughed, but not in a nice way. Perhaps, said a floating gas cloud being, humans are so advanced they no longer need physical weapons. Or perhaps, growled Gronmak, they are too primitive to understand the dangers of galactic politics. Bora finally moved. She turned her head slightly to look at Gronmak. Her face showed no anger, no fear, just mild interest, like someone had asked her about the weather. We understand the dangers just fine, she said quietly. Her voice was steady and clear. We simply handle them differently. How? Demanded Gronmak. How do you handle armed enemies with empty hands? Before Bora could answer, Velthar spoke up. This discussion is becoming heated. Perhaps we should focus on the day's agenda items. But Gronmak was not finished. No, Speaker, this is important. If humans are too weak to protect themselves, how can we trust them as allies? If they are hiding their true strength, how can we trust them as friends? Other aliens nodded. The questions were fair ones. In their experience, beings who came to important meetings without weapons were either very foolish or very dangerous. Since humans had passed all the tests to join the council, they were probably not foolish. Taemin looked around the chamber. He could see the worry and suspicion in hundreds of alien eyes. He had known this moment would come. Humans were new to galactic politics. The other species did not understand them yet. War Chief Gronmak, he said, standing up slowly. Your concerns are reasonable. You want to know if we can defend ourselves and our allies. You want to know if we are honest about our capabilities. Yes, Gronmak replied. Show us your true weapons, or admit you have none. Taemin looked at Bora. She gave him a small nod. Very well, the ambassador said. If it would ease the council's concerns, we would be willing to demonstrate our security methods, but only in a controlled environment and only non-lethally. The chamber erupted in excited chatter. Finally, they would see what the humans were hiding. Velthar called for order. Are you certain about this, Ambassador Kim? Some demonstrations can be revealing in unexpected ways. Taemin's smile never wavered. We have nothing to hide, Speaker Velthar. We came here in peace, and we want the council to trust us. If a demonstration will help, then we are happy to provide one. Gronmak's teeth showed in what might have been a grin. Excellent, I volunteer to test your security personally. Bora spoke without turning around. That can be arranged, War Chief. When would you like to schedule this? The confidence in her voice made several aliens shift uncomfortably. She sounded like someone agreeing to a simple training exercise, not a potentially dangerous test of strength. Tomorrow, Gronmak decided. In the Council's combat training facility. Full observation by all delegates. Agreed, Taemin said. As the meeting moved on to other topics, the aliens could not stop glancing at the human guards. Bora returned to her relaxed stance, watching the proceedings with calm attention. Jinwoo continued to gaze out at the stars, occasionally checking his simple wrist device. Neither of them looked worried about tomorrow's demonstration. Neither looked like they were preparing for a fight. They looked like people waiting for a routine appointment. This bothered the aliens, more than any weapon display could have. There was something about the humans' complete lack of concern that felt wrong, dangerous, like standing next to a quiet animal that might or might not be asleep. By the end of the meeting, word had spread throughout the station. Tomorrow, the galaxy would finally learn the truth about human strength. Tomorrow, they would see what weapons the mysterious species really carried. None of them guessed that the weapons had been standing in the room with them all along. The next morning came quickly. News of the human demonstration had spread through the entire space station. Aliens from dozens of species crowded into viewing areas around the combat training facility. Some came to watch what they thought would be an easy victory for Gronmak. Others came hoping to finally see human secret weapons. Ambassador Taemin ate his breakfast slowly in the human quarters. Across from him sat Haewon Choi, the military attaché who had arrived on the night transport. Haiwan was older than the other humans with gray hair and serious eyes that had seen many battles. "Are you sure about this?" Haiwan asked quietly. "Once they see what Bora can do, everything changes." "It was going to change anyway," Taemin replied. "Better they learn the truth now, in a controlled way." At another table, Yoon Seo-jung, the diplomatic protocol specialist, reviewed her notes on alien cultures. She was a smart woman who understood how different species thought and acted. Her job was to prevent misunderstandings that could lead to war. "The Brutani respect strength above all else," she said. "If Bora wins too easily, Granmak might see it as humiliation. If she struggles, they might think we are weak after all." Bora entered the dining area, already dressed in her simple uniform. She looked like she was preparing for a normal day. At work, not a fight that could change human-alien relations forever. "Don't worry about the politics," she said calmly. "I'll handle it appropriately." Jin Woo looked up from his breakfast. "Should I come as backup?" "No need," Bora replied. "One demonstration should be enough." Across the station, in the Brutani section, Granmak was preparing very differently. He strapped on his battle armor, each piece designed to stop energy weapons and projectiles. His plasma rifle could melt through steel. His energy shield could block explosions. He had fought in dozens of wars and won every single battle. Other Brutani warriors gathered around him. "Be careful, War Chief," said his second-in-command Thektar. "Humans might have tricks we do not know." Granmak laughed, showing his sharp teeth. "What tricks can a small, soft creature have? Look at them. No claws, no thick skin, no natural weapons. They are prey animals who learn to use tools." In the mechanoid section, Krixtel ran more scans on recorded data from yesterday's meeting. His artificial brain processed thousands of calculations per second. Something about the humans did not add up, but he could not determine what. "Analysis inconclusive," he reported to other mechanoid delegates. "Human physiology appears standard for their species. No modifications detected, no hidden technology. Yet their confidence levels remain unusually high." The Zephyrian speaker. Velthar prepared his own observations. His insect species had survived by being very careful about danger. Something about the humans made his instincts buzz with warning, but he could not explain why. 1 hour before the demonstration, delegates began filling the observation decks around the training facility. The room below was large and empty, with white walls and a soft floor designed to prevent serious injury during practice fights. Haiwan and Yoon Seo took seats in the human observation area. They watched as Bora entered the facility below and began some simple stretches. Her movements were smooth and relaxed, like someone preparing for a morning walk. "She doesn't look like a warrior," commented a slug-like alien in the next section. "Maybe that's the point," replied his companion, a being made of living crystal. Granmak entered the training area with heavy footsteps. His armor clanked with each movement. Energy crackled around his weapons. He looked like a walking tank, built for war and destruction. The size difference was shocking. Granmak stood nearly 8 feet tall and weighed over 300 pounds. Bora was maybe 5.5 feet tall and looked like she weighed less than half what he did. Next to him, she looked like a child. "This is not fair," whispered an alien observer. "He will crush her." "Maybe humans heal very fast?" suggested another. "Maybe they do not mind getting hurt?" Velthar activated the facility's communication system. His voice echoed through both the training area and the observation decks. "This demonstration will test human security capabilities under controlled conditions. All weapons will be set to non-lethal levels. Medical teams are standing by." He paused, looking down at the 2 figures below. "War Chief Granmak, are you ready?" "Ready, Speaker," Granmak replied. His voice boomed through the facility. He activated his energy shield and checked his plasma rifle. Green light glowed around his armor. "Security Officer Park, are you ready?" Bora looked up at the observation decks. Her face was calm, almost peaceful. "Ready, Speaker." "You may begin when the tone sounds," Velthar announced. A deep tone filled the facility. The demonstration had begun. Gronmak immediately raised his plasma rifle and fired. Green energy bolts shot toward Bora at incredible speed. Any normal being would have been hit instantly. Bora simply wasn't there anymore. She had moved to the side so quickly that most observers missed it. The energy bolts hit the wall behind where she had been standing. Gronmak fired again, tracking her movement. She flowed around the shots like water, never seeming to hurry, but always staying just ahead of the deadly energy. Impossible, breathed Krixtel. Human reaction time should not be that fast. Gronmak roared in frustration and activated his armor's boost system. He charged forward like a living missile, energy shield blazing, intending to smash Bora against the wall. She waited until the last possible second, then stepped aside. Gronmak crashed into the wall with tremendous force. The impact would have killed a normal being, but his armor protected him. He spun around, swinging his massive fist where Bora should have been. She ducked under the punch and touched his wrist gently. Gronmak's hand suddenly went numb. His plasma rifle clattered to the floor. "What did you do?" he demanded, backing away. Bora said nothing. She stood quietly, waiting for his next attack. The alien observers leaned forward in their seats. This was not going as anyone had expected. The human wasn't using any weapons they could see. She wasn't even fighting back exactly. She was just avoiding everything. Gronmak tried to grab her with his good hand. She slipped away from his grasp like smoke. He swung his armored elbow at her head. She bent backwards, and the strike passed inches over her face. He kicked with his powerful leg. She jumped over it lightly. Every attack missed. Every time Bora moved just enough to avoid harm, but never more than necessary. She looked like she was dancing while Gronmak looked like he was fighting a ghost. "She's making him look foolish," observed Haywan quietly. "That's dangerous with Brutani." "No," Yunseo replied, watching carefully. "She's being respectful. She's not embarrassing him. She's just showing that he can't hit her." But Gronmak was getting angry. His pride was hurt. In Brutani culture, if you couldn't touch your enemy, you were weak. He activated every system in his armor. Energy weapons powered up. His shield generator hummed with maximum power. His strength enhancers whined as they boosted his muscles beyond normal limits. He became a whirlwind of destruction, attacking with everything he had. Energy blasts filled the air. His armored fists struck like hammers. His feet left craters in the training floor. Bora flowed through it all like wind through trees. She never looked stressed or worried. Her breathing stayed calm and steady. Sometimes she was so close to Gronmak that his attacks should have been impossible to avoid, but somehow they never connected. Then something changed. Bora stopped moving away from the attacks. Instead, she started moving toward them. When Gronmak punched, she stepped inside his reach and touched his shoulder. His arm stopped working. When he tried to kick, she tapped his knee and his leg, buckled. When he swung his energy weapon, she caught his wrist, and somehow the weapon pointed at the ceiling instead. The observers fell silent. They were watching something they had never seen before. The human wasn't overpowering the Brutani warrior. She was redirecting his own strength against him. Every time he attacked, he became more off balance, more confused, more frustrated. Finally, Gronmak tried one massive overhead strike with both fists. Bora stepped forward, caught his wrists, and used his own momentum to spin him around. The huge warrior stumbled, tripped over his own feet, and crashed to the ground with a tremendous noise. He tried to get up, but his arms and legs weren't working properly anymore. Whatever Bora had done to his nerves had left him mostly paralyzed. He could move his head and speak, but that was all. Bora knelt beside him, checking to make sure he was not seriously hurt. "Are you okay, War Chief?" she asked politely. Gronmak stared at her with wide eyes. "What are you?" he whispered. The training facility was completely quiet. Hundreds of alien beings sat in stunned silence, trying to understand what they had just witnessed. The human had defeated the most powerful warrior in the council without using any weapons, without any technology, without even hurting him. Bora stood up and looked toward the observation decks. "Demonstration complete, Speaker Velthar," she said in her calm, professional voice. Velthar's mandibles clicked rapidly. He was very, very confused and more than a little frightened. "Medical team to the training floor," he announced, though his voice shook slightly. As the medical team helped Gronmak to his feet, feeling slowly return to his limbs. He looked at Bora with new respect and something that might have been fear. The medical team finished checking Gronmak and declared him healthy. His armor had protected him from real harm, but his pride was badly wounded. The great Brutani war chief had been defeated by a small human female who never even tried to hurt him. As the crowd began to leave the training facility, whispers spread like wildfire through the station. Aliens gathered in small groups trying to make sense of what they had seen. "It was impossible," said a crab-like Shellian to his friends. "She moved faster than our eyes could follow." "No," replied a floating gas being. "She moved exactly fast. Enough. Never more, never less." That's what was scary. In the human quarters, Bora sat quietly while Donghyun, the human biologist, examined her hands and arms. He was a thin man with thick glasses who studied how human bodies worked. "Any soreness? Muscle strain?" he asked, checking her pulse. "I'm fine," Bora replied. "It was just basic defensive movement." Sujin Yoon, the security communications specialist, monitored alien communication channels from her portable computer. She was young but very good at understanding what different species were saying about humans. "The whole station is talking about the demonstration," she reported. "Some think we used hidden technology. Others think Bora has special mutations. A few are starting to guess the truth." Ambassador Taemin nodded thoughtfully. The truth was always going to come out eventually. Better now than during a real crisis. Across the station, emergency meetings were being called by every major species. The Zephyrians buzzed anxiously in their hive-like chambers. The mechanoids ran endless calculations trying to explain what they had witnessed. The Brutani warriors gathered around Gronmak demanding to know how he had been defeated. "She touched me and my body stopped working," Gronmak explained for the 10th time. But it wasn't like being stunned by an energy weapon. It was like she knew exactly where to touch to turn off my muscles. His second-in-command, Thektar, shook his scaled head. "That should be impossible. Our anatomy is completely different from theirs." "Tell that to my arm," Gronmak replied, flexing his fingers. They worked now, but he could still remember the strange numbness. She knew our bodies better than we do. In the mechanoid section, Crixtel projected holographic displays of the fight. His mechanical brain replayed every second in slow motion, analyzing each movement. "Human female demonstrates knowledge of Brutani nerve clusters," he announced to his fellow robots. "Precision suggests detailed study of alien anatomy, but how? When? Humans only joined Galactic Council 6 months ago." Another mechanoid, designated Unit 7749, calculated probabilities. "Perhaps humans have been watching us longer than we knew. Perhaps they are not as new to galactic politics as they claim." The idea sent electronic shivers through the mechanoid network. If humans had been secretly studying other species, what else did they know? Speaker Velthar called an emergency session of the Council's Science Committee. Representatives from 12 species gathered in a small meeting room, all talking at once. "Order! Order!" Velthar clicked, his mandibles creating sharp sounds. "We need to understand what happened today." Dr. Zilch, a slug-like being who studied alien biology, spoke first. "I have examined recordings of the demonstration. The human female used pressure point techniques but adapted for Brutani physiology. This should be impossible without years of study." "Maybe it was luck," suggested a plant-like Florian scientist. 17. "Precise pressure points applied in perfect sequence," Dr. Zilch replied. "That was not luck." A crystalline Crysteri researcher chimed in with a voice like wind through caves. "Our concern is greater than technique. Human female moved with impossible efficiency. No wasted motion, no unnecessary effort, like a machine designed for combat." "But she is organic," protested the Florian. "Organic beings cannot be that precise." "Earth, humans can, apparently," Dr. Zilch said quietly. The room fell silent as everyone considered the implications. Meanwhile, word had reached the highest levels of galactic government. Admiral Ketheron of the Galactic Defense Force contacted the station directly. His image appeared on Velthar's personal communicator, a huge armored being with glowing red eyes. "Speaker Velthar." The Admiral's voice rumbled like distant thunder. "I have received disturbing reports about human combat capabilities." "The reports are accurate, Admiral," Velthar replied carefully. "One human guard defeated our strongest warrior without weapons or technology. Impossible. I witnessed it personally." There was a long pause. "How many humans are on your station?" 12 in the diplomatic mission. "And they are all potentially as dangerous as this guard?" Velthar's mandibles clicked nervously. We do not know, Admiral." Another pause. Longer this time. "I am dispatching a research team immediately. We need to understand what we are dealing with." Back in the human quarters, Dr. Dong Hyun was setting up equipment for what he knew would be inevitable, a full presentation about human biology to the Galactic Council. He had brought the equipment hoping he would never need it, but after today's demonstration there was no choice. "Are you sure we should reveal everything?" asked Haewon, the military attaché. "Some information could be used against us." "They'll figure it out anyway," Dong Hyun replied, calibrating a holographic projector. "Better they learn from us than from their own experiments." Su Jin looked up from her communication monitoring station. "The Admiral of the Galactic Defense Force is sending a research team, military-grade scientists and combat analysts. They'll be here tomorrow." Ambassador Taemin sighed. "Then we need to be ready with answers. Dr. O, prepare your full presentation. About human evolutionary development. Include everything. Our hunting background, our endurance capabilities, our adaptation advantages." "Everything?" Dong Hyun asked. "Even the predator instincts?" "Especially those," Taemin replied. "They need to understand that we chose peace, not because we're weak, but because we're strong enough to make that choice." Late that night, Granmak visited the human quarters. He asked to speak with Bora privately. They met in a small conference room, just the two of them. "I have fought in 50 battles," Granmak said quietly. "I have defeated warriors from 20 species. Today was the first time I felt truly helpless." Bora nodded respectfully. "You fought well, War Chief. Your techniques were solid." "My techniques were useless," he replied. "You moved like you knew what I was going to do before I did it." "Combat is about patterns," Bora explained. "Every fighting style has patterns. Every species has physical limitations. I just learned to see the patterns and work with the limitations." "How long did it take you to learn Brutani combat patterns?" "About 6 hours of video study," Bora answered honestly. Granmak stared at her. 6 hours? Your people are very straightforward fighters. Honorable, but predictable. Most species are once you understand their culture and biology." The war chief was quiet for a long moment. "What are humans?" he finally asked. Bora considered the question carefully. "We're survivors, War Chief. On our world, everything was trying to kill us for millions of years. We learned to adapt, to study our enemies, to find ways to win even when we were smaller and weaker than what we faced. And now? Now we use those same skills to protect instead of hunt. But the skills are still there." Granmak nodded slowly. "Tomorrow, when the Admiral's research team arrives, they will want to test more humans." "Probably. Will you be ready?" Bora smiled slightly. "War Chief, we've been ready for this conversation since the day we left Earth. We knew eventually someone would ask the hard questions about human capabilities. And the answers? The answers might change how every species in the galaxy looks at humanity. For better or worse." Bora looked out the small window at the stars beyond. "That depends on how well we explain that being dangerous and being peaceful aren't opposites. They're choices." Granmak left that night with a new understanding. Humans weren't weak beings pretending to be strong. They weren't strong beings trying to hide their power. They were something far more complex and potentially far more dangerous. Apex predators who had chosen to be diplomats. The next morning would bring new challenges, new questions, and new revelations about what it really meant to be human in a galaxy full of other intelligent species. But for now, the station was quiet, and everyone was trying to process the reality that they had been sharing space with Earth's most successful hunters. Hunters who carried no weapons because they didn't need them. Hunters who had evolved past the need to hunt but had never lost the ability to do so. The demonstration was over, but the real education was just beginning. The research team from the Galactic Defense Force arrived exactly 12 hours after the demonstration. Their ship was massive and black, designed for war rather than diplomacy. Admiral Kethran himself came aboard the station, bringing with him the galaxy's best scientists and military analysts. The main conference hall had been cleared for a special presentation. Every species in the council sent their top researchers. Medical teams stood ready with scanning equipment. Combat specialists prepared to take detailed notes. Dr. Dong Hyun Oh stood at the center of the room, looking calm despite facing hundreds of alien beings who wanted to understand if humans were a threat to galactic peace. Behind him, a large, holographic projector waited to display images and data about human evolution. Before we begin, Admiral Kethran announced, his voice like rolling thunder, I want everyone to understand the importance of this meeting. If humans possess hidden combat capabilities, every defense plan in the galaxy may need to be reconsidered. Ambassador Taimin stood up. Admiral, we appreciate your concerns. Dr. O will present accurate information about human biology and development. We have nothing to hide. Mi Young Kang, the human evolutionary anthropologist, sat at a side table with thick books and research files. She was an expert on how humans had changed over millions of years. Next to her, Sung Ho Lim, the combat instructor, waited to demonstrate human fighting techniques if needed. Dr. O, you may begin, Velthar announced. Dong Hyun activated the holographic projector. A three-dimensional image of planet Earth appeared in the center of the room. It was blue and green and beautiful, but as the image zoomed in, details became visible that made many aliens shift uncomfortably in their seats. Earth, Dong Hyun began, is what we call a death world. Almost everything on our planet evolved to be dangerous. The hologram showed massive predators with sharp teeth, poisonous creatures with deadly stings, plants that could kill with a touch, weather that could freeze or burn anything caught outside, diseases that could wipe out entire populations. Impossible, whispered Dr. Zilch, the slug-like biologist. No intelligent species could evolve on such a world. Yet humans did, Dong Hyun replied. We survived by becoming better predators than anything else on our planet. The hologram changed to show early humans. They looked smaller and weaker than modern humans, but they were running, always running, chasing animals much larger than themselves across vast distances. Humans are persistence hunters, Mi Young explained, standing up to join the presentation. We don't run fast for short distances. We run at medium speed for very, very long distances. We can chase prey until it collapses from exhaustion. How long? Asked a crystalline crystari scientist. Days if necessary, Mi Young replied. A healthy human can run for 24 hours without stopping. Some have run for much longer. Murmurs spread through the audience. Most alien species could run quickly for short periods, but none had that kind of endurance. The hologram showed human anatomy. Dong Hyun pointed to different parts as he explained. Human hearts are oversized for our body weight. Our lungs process oxygen very efficiently. Our muscles can work for hours without getting tired. We sweat to cool our bodies, which lets us keep moving when other animals must rest. But yesterday's demonstration showed more than endurance. Admiral Kethran interrupted. The human female moved with incredible precision and speed. Sung Ho stood up. That's because humans also evolved excellent hand-eye coordination and pattern recognition. We had to throw spears accurately while running. We had to track wounded animals across changing terrain. We had to predict where our prey would go next. The hologram showed a human brain compared to other species' brains. The human brain was smaller than some, but certain areas were much larger. The human brain processes movement and spatial relationships faster than most species. Dong Hyun explained. We can see patterns in complex motion. We can predict what someone will do based on tiny body movements. This helped us hunt, but it also helps us fight. A mechanoid researcher, Unit 7749, projected a question through speakers. Explain human reaction time during combat. Sung-Ho smiled. Humans enter what we call flow states during intense situations. Our brain chemistry changes. Time seems to slow down. Our reflexes become much faster. Our pattern recognition becomes almost supernatural. Show us, demanded Granmak, who had been sitting quietly until now. Sung-Ho looked at Ambassador Tae-min, who nodded. Very well, but I'll need volunteers. 6 alien security guards stepped forward, representing different species. They formed a circle around Sung-Ho, each one armed with non-lethal training weapons. Attack me all at once, Sung-Ho said calmly. Try to hit me with your weapons. The aliens looked at each other uncertainly. 6 against 1 seemed unfair, even with training weapons. Please, Sung-Ho encouraged. I need you to really try. Otherwise, the demonstration won't work. The 6 aliens attacked together. Energy weapons fired. Stun batons swung through the air. Net launchers shot their capture devices. Sung-Ho seemed to dance between the attacks. He moved like Bora had, but his style was different. Where she had been smooth like water, he was sharp like lightning. He redirected weapons, used attackers' momentum against them, and turned their own movements into weapons. Within 30 seconds, all 6 aliens were on the ground, tangled in their own nets, tripped by their own feet or simply confused about where their target had gone. Flow state, Sung-Ho explained, not even breathing hard. Humans can maintain this level of performance for several minutes during real combat. The audience was silent. Admiral Kethran leaned forward in his seat. How many humans can do this? Any human with proper training, Mi-young answered. We all have the same basic capabilities. Some are better than others, but the potential exists in every member of our species. Dr. Zilch raised a slimy appendage. What about the pressure point techniques? How did the human female know Brutani? Anatomy so precisely? Dong-hyun smiled. Humans are very good at learning. We study our environment constantly, give a human access to medical data about any species, and within hours they can find that species' weak points. Hours? Admiral Kethran's voice showed disbelief. We're pattern recognition specialists, Mi-young explained. Every species has physical patterns, nerve clusters, joint stress points, muscle attachment areas. Once we understand the pattern, we can apply it. Crixtel's mechanical voice cut through the murmurs. Request clarification. Are humans naturally violent? The room fell completely silent. This was the question everyone had been thinking, but no one had dared to ask. Ambassador Tae-min stood up slowly. That's the most important question of all, he said. And the answer is both yes and no. He walked to the center of the room, standing next to the holographic display. Yes, humans are natural predators. We evolved to hunt and fight and survive in a world that wanted to kill us. These instincts are still part of us. The aliens waited nervously for the rest of his answer. But, Tae-min continued, we also evolved intelligence and empathy. We learned that cooperation was more effective than competition. We discovered that building was better than destroying. We chose to become protectors instead of predators. Choice? Admiral Kethran asked. Choice, Tae-min confirmed. Every human makes this choice every day. We could use our abilities to dominate and destroy. Instead, we choose to use them to protect and build. That's what makes us human. Granmak spoke from his seat. What happens if humans stop choosing peace? The room became very quiet. Everyone wanted to hear this answer. Tae-min looked directly at the war chief. Then the galaxy would face a species that has spent millions of years learning how to hunt, fight, and survive anything the universe could throw at us. A species that never gives up, never stops learning, and never forgets. A threat. He paused, letting the words sink in. But that won't happen, he added, because we've also spent thousands of years learning that peace is stronger than war, and friends are better than enemies. The presentation continued for 2 more hours. The aliens learned about human healing, abilities, problem-solving skills, and adaptation speed. They learned that humans could eat almost anything, live in almost any environment, and learn almost any skill. By the end, the aliens understood that they had been sharing the galaxy with a species that was essentially unkillable, unstoppable, and incredibly dangerous. They also understood that this same species had chosen to be their friends instead of their conquerors. The question now was, how would this knowledge change everything? 3 weeks after the presentation, everything had changed. The Galactic Council chambers looked the same, but the atmosphere was completely different. When Ambassador Taemin entered for the regular monthly meeting, every alien delegate stood up. This had never happened before for any species. Bo-Ra and Jinwoo walked behind him, still carrying no visible weapons. But now the aliens understood what they were looking at. They weren't seeing helpless guards. They were seeing apex predators who had chosen to protect instead of hunt. Ambassador Kim, Speaker Velthar said respectfully, "Please take your seat. The council is honored by your presence." The formal words were new. Before, humans had been treated politely, but not with special respect. Now every species in the galaxy knew that offending humans might be a very dangerous mistake. Admiral Kethrin attended the meeting personally, something he rarely did for diplomatic sessions. His research teams had spent weeks studying human capabilities, and their reports had shaken the entire Galactic Defense Force. "The monthly security report," Velthar announced. "Admiral?" Kethrin stood up, his massive form casting shadows across the chamber. "The Outer Rim pirate attacks have stopped completely," he reported. 17 different pirate groups have surrendered to local authorities and requested peaceful relocation to civilized systems. Murmurs of surprise filled the chamber. The Outer Rim pirates had been a problem for decades. "What changed?" asked the Crysteri representative. "Word spread about human capabilities," Admiral Kethrin replied. "The pirates learned that humans were now active in galactic security. Apparently, they decided that piracy was no longer a profitable career." Hoseok Nam, a new human team member, sat quietly in the human section. He was older than the others, with gray hair and scars that spoke of many battles. His official title was Diplomatic Advisor, but everyone knew he was former Special Forces. "The pirates made a smart choice," Hoseok said quietly when asked to comment. "Humans have a long memory for people who threaten innocence." Yoon Ji-shin, the Human Cultural Exchange Officer, stood up to address the council. She was a friendly woman whose job was to help aliens understand human culture and thinking. "We've received many requests for cultural exchange programs," she reported. 43 species want to learn about human philosophy and ethics. 37 want to study human problem-solving methods, and she paused, checking her notes. 218 species have requested human security consultants. The chamber buzzed with conversation. Security consulting meant that aliens wanted humans to help protect them. This was a dramatic change from 3 weeks ago when most species had thought humans were too weak to protect themselves. "The Galactic Council recognizes the human delegation," Velthar announced formally. Ambassador Taemin stood up. "Thank you, Speaker. I want to address the request for security assistance." He looked around the chamber, making eye contact with delegates from dozens of species. "Humans are willing to help with galactic security," he said. "But we have conditions. Any human security specialist will operate under strict rules. They will protect, not attack. They will use minimum necessary force. They will respect local laws and customs." "What if those rules conflict with effective protection?" asked a mechanoid delegate. Bo-Ra answered from her position behind the ambassador. "Then we find a better way. Humans are very good at finding solutions that others miss." Admiral Kethrin spoke up. "The Defense Force has reviewed human security methods. Their effectiveness ratings are impressive." "How impressive?" asked Gronmak. The war chief had become one of humanity's strongest supporters since his demonstration. "Fight with Bo-Ra. Traditional security methods prevent about 60% of attacks," the admiral replied. "Human methods prevent 94%. The difference appears to be their ability to identify threats before they become dangerous." Dr. Zilch, the slug-like biologist, had spent weeks studying human biology. Humans can detect deception through microexpressions and body language, he explained to the council. They can identify potential violence through behavioral patterns. They can predict criminal activity through environmental analysis. Essentially, added Crixtel, humans can see danger coming long before it arrives. The meeting continued with practical discussions about implementation. Which species needed help most urgently? How many humans could be assigned to security roles? What training would be needed for aliens working with human specialists? But the real change was deeper than just security arrangements. I want to share something personal, Gronmak announced during the open discussion period. He stood up, his massive form commanding attention. 3 weeks ago, I thought strength meant bigger weapons and thicker armor. I thought humans were weak because they carried no guns. He looked directly at Bora. I was wrong. Humans are strong because they don't need weapons. They are powerful because they choose when to use their power. They are dangerous because they are so good at not being dangerous. The war chief paused, choosing his words carefully. My species respects strength above all else. I have never respected any beings more than I respect humans right now. Similar statements came from other delegates. The Crystari representative spoke about human adaptability. The Florian delegate praised human problem-solving abilities. Even the normally suspicious mechanoids expressed admiration for human efficiency. After the meeting, smaller groups gathered to discuss specific cooperation agreements. The Zephyrians wanted human help with their border security problems, and the Shellians requested assistance with organized crime in their merchant fleets. The gas cloud beings asked for help protecting their delicate atmospheric cities. Everyone wanted human partners. In the human quarters that evening, the team gathered for their daily debriefing. Ambassador Taemin looked tired, but satisfied. 6. Months ago, we were the new species that nobody quite trusted, he said. Today, we're the species everyone wants as an ally. Is that good or bad? Asked Jinwoo. Hosiok answered thoughtfully. It's responsibility. The galaxy now knows what humans can do. They're counting on us to use those abilities wisely. Yoonji checked her communication logs. I'm getting messages from human colonies throughout the galaxy. Word has spread about our new status. Everyone wants to know what it means for humanity's future. It means we have to live up to our reputation, Bora said simply. We've shown them we can fight. Now we have to prove we can lead. Dr. Dong Hyun, who had become something of a celebrity after his presentation, was reviewing research requests from alien scientists. They want to understand everything about us, he reported. Our healing rates, our learning abilities, our social structures, our decision-making processes. Let them study, Ambassador Taemin decided. Knowledge builds trust. The more they understand us, the better our relationships will become. Seung-ho looked up from his training schedules. I'm designing new programs for mixed species security teams, aliens working alongside humans. The key is teaching them that human methods work differently from what they're used to. Different how? Asked Haewon. Most species train to overpower threats, Seung-ho explained. Humans train to outsmart them. Most species prepare for the fight they expect. Humans prepare for the fight that might happen instead. Late that night, as the station quieted down, Bora stood at an observation window looking out at the stars. Ambassador Taemin joined her. Do you think we made the right choice? He asked. Showing them what we really are? Bora considered the question. They would have figured it out eventually. Better they learned from us than from watching us in action during a real crisis. And now? Now we prove that being apex predators doesn't mean we have to be monsters. We show them that the most dangerous beings in the galaxy can also be the most trustworthy. Ambassador Taemin nodded. Humanity's greatest strength was never our ability to fight. It was our ability to choose not to fight when we could win. The conversation was interrupted by an emergency alert from the communication center. Sujin's voice came over the intercom. Ambassador, priority message from Earth. The Galactic Council has formally invited humanity to join the Inner Defense Council. Full membership, full authority. Bora and Taemin looked at each other. The Inner Defense Council was the most powerful military organization in the galaxy. Membership was reserved for the strongest and most trusted species. I guess, Bora said with a slight smile. They really do understand what we are now. Ambassador Tae Min activated his communicator. Su-Jin, send a message to Earth. Tell them we accept the invitation. Tell them humanity is ready to help protect the galaxy. And tell them, Bora added, that we'll do it our way, with minimum force, maximum effectiveness, and total commitment to peace. As the message traveled through hyperspace toward Earth, the humans on the station prepared for their new role. They would become the galaxy's protectors, not through superior weapons or overwhelming force, but through superior skill, intelligence, and the wisdom to know when fighting was necessary and when it was not. The galaxy had learned to respect humanity not because humans were violent, but because they were so very good at not being violent when they easily could be.